We'd like to welcome you to this webinar outlining the partnership between Verbella and Tradeshift. And today we'll spend some time talking about how we can simplify AP automation specifically for SAP customers. And let's start by talking about who you'll be listening to today. Your host today will be myself, Ed Van Hooydonk. I'm the Director of East Coast Sales for Tradeshift, and also Kevin Shaw, who's the Vice President at Verbella CMG. And Kevin, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Ed. Yeah, just to give you a little bit of background, what we're going to plan to do this morning. So first of all, we're going to talk a little bit about Verbella and Tradeshift, what our companies do and specialize in, the value that our partnership brings to you, the customers. Talk a little bit about automation process flow, specifically around some AP solutions, and then we're going to open it up to Q&A to end the session. So that being said, next slide, Ed. So first of all, just a little bit about Verbella is that we enable our customers to extract the most value from their document-intensive processes. Verbella's experienced consultants have designed, implemented, and supported complex ERP, CRM, and content management installations around the world for over a decade. We offer both departmental and enterprise-wide solutions to provide the most value across the company. Our background is based on over a decade of working with content management for SAP. Although we work with many systems, our heritage is from one of the original SAP partners, Ixos, especially those of you from Europe would be very familiar with Ixos, and subsequently OpenText. Using our years of content management experience, we work with our customers to maximize their existing investments. So we try not to replace everything you already have in place, but add value to what you have in existing implementations. So from a standpoint of services that we offer around SAP, we offer document imaging, content server installations. When I say content servers, it could be a OpenText content server, it could be the SAP content server, SharePoint. A variety. We offer a variety of options for content repositories. We offer a lot of document migrations if you have a legacy system and you'd like to move it to a different repository. And also we do quite a bit of data and document archiving, which is from our Ixos roots. OpenText services, 3/4 of our consultants are experienced in Ixos and OpenText. So from a standpoint, we do a lot of work with VIM, which is vendor invoice management, document access, or DocuLink, which is what it was called in Ixos, extended ECM for SAP, upgrades of OpenText solutions and servers, content migrations, as well as the ICC from OpenText. And also we're a Platinum Kofax partner. We offer quite a few services around Kofax, from basic capture to optical character recognition, some of the newer applications around mobile capture and using MFP machines as well. Then in general, the solutions that our focus is around would be in today's session is around SAP accounts payable automation, but also we have solutions for SAP accounts receivable automation, SAP sales order automation, SAP HR document automation, and a mailroom automation solution which is usable by any company. So that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you, Ed, to kick off Tradeshift here.
Great, thanks, Kevin. So let me tell everyone a little bit about Tradeshift in case you're new to us. If you were to take a 25,000-foot view of Tradeshift, what you'd see is that we're a platform for all your business interactions. And what we do primarily is help companies to run more efficiently by leveraging the power of their own networks to create new value from old processes. And specifically, our focus today is really around processes such as invoicing and payments and workflow. And what we've done is we've created our platform on the basis that our customers will really only realize their vision and business case for electronic invoicing if they engage with all of their suppliers. And so what we've done is we've created a unique business model that is free for suppliers. And what that does is eliminates the resistance to engagement and onboarding that we've certainly seen in the industry. And we've also created a solution that has multiple channels for suppliers to engage with their buying organizations to send them invoices. And what that does is reduces the change management on the supplier side, once again lowering resistance to getting on board and engaging with the network. And then the last thing we've really done in building our platform is to leverage third generation cloud technology. And what we've been able to do by leveraging that technology is drive down the cost of transactions for our customers. And to give you some sense of our global scale and size, let's take a look at some of the numbers. So currently on the Tradeshift platform, we have about 150,000 buyers and sellers that are using the platform and transacting on it today. We're currently the fastest growing B2B platform in the world with more than 1,000 suppliers joining every week. We currently have the largest global footprint with active users in 190 countries and regions of any B2B platform that's out there today. And our users have more than 300,000 trading partners via the Tradeshift platform, so access to those partners. And today, to give you some sense of size of transactions, we have about 1 million business transactions being completed every month. So that gives you some perspective on Tradeshift. What I'd like to do now is provide an overview of what each partner brings to the table for our joint customers. And if you were to take a look at both organizations, speaking for Tradeshift, I can say that we typically look for partners who can add strategic value to our customers and to our company. And Verbella fit the bill perfectly for us, as what they bring to the table is the following. Number one, they've got deep expertise and domain knowledge in the delivery and support of content management solutions within large enterprises, and that was important for us as an enterprise solution. They are also a developer of value-added solutions for the ERP. Specifically today, Kevin's going to talk a little bit about the AP Ledger module they've developed for SAP to help optimize and simplify that process for SAP customers. And that certainly has relevance to us as well, because we're seeking strategic partners who could also potentially leverage our apps infrastructure, and I'll talk more about that in a minute when I discuss what Tradeshift brings to the table. And then lastly, Verbella enhances the Tradeshift's SAP expertise and depth when looking at integrating our solutions into SAP and the other ERP solutions that are out there. What Tradeshift brings to the table for Verbella and Verbella's customers really is the world-class platform that I talked about previously. And that has a number of components. Number one, I talked about having multiple channels for suppliers to send invoices into their buying organizations so that they can participate and engage with the network. And specifically today, we're going to talk about a solution called CloudScan, and we'll explain more about that in a little bit. We also bring our cloud-based e-invoicing platform to the table, and that's really the basis of everything that we do. And then bolted on top of that, we also have applications, apps if you will, for supply chain financial solutions. And when I talk about those, I'm specifically talking about solutions like dynamic discounting, supply chain finance, or payment solutions. And then the last component, I would say major component that we bring to the table that I think has value for both partners, is this unique apps ecosystem, which allows us, or Verbella, or our customers for that matter, to create their own apps to further add value to their supply chain or their AP process. And for instance, there's a Fortune 1000 organization we're working with now, and what we've done is created a W9 app on the platform that allows them to have their suppliers on board, fill out the W9 in our system, have that flow through to their ERP, and it eliminates the paper step that they used to have in their process. And that's just one of hundreds or thousands of examples of the types of apps or processes that could be automated outside of the ERP on top of our platform. So that's what each partner brings to the table. What do we mutually bring to the table for our clients? And it's really, when you look at it, it's a simple end-to-end AP automation solution. So jointly we bring multiple channels for invoice intake, which is important to our customers, once again, to ensure they realize their business case for electronic invoicing. So whether it's a Kofax solution from Verbella, CloudScan from us, or ERP or accounting integration, or connectors to accounting systems, or print drivers for sending e-invoices without having to actually become part of the Tradeshift network. There are various ways of invoice intake that we can collectively bring to the table. And then, of course, we've got the foundation, which is the e-invoicing platform, but also a vendor portal so that suppliers have the ability to go in and update their information, check on the status of the invoices or POs that they're expecting. And then we've got a workflow and approval process built into our platform as well. The financial solutions that I mentioned earlier, the back-end CMS solutions that Verbella brings to the table, and then various AP automation tools such as the AP Ledger that we're going to talk about today. And all of that, of course, is surrounded by the SAP integration expertise that we can jointly bring to the table. So there's a lot of value that, that we can bring to the table for our joint clients. And what I'd like to do now is walk through with you, Kevin and I both will, an example of a process flow and show you how the data appears in each step of the process and in each system. And the way we're going to do that is to take CloudScan, which is a product that we have as an invoice intake methodology. We'll show you what that data looks like on the e-invoicing platform, and then we'll move to Kevin talking about how that information flows into SAP and looks within the AP Ledger product that they've created. So the first step, the first step here is to start with an invoice. So what we're showing here is a PDF invoice, and that's a very popular format for invoices being received by buying organizations today. Now, this invoice could have been created natively as a PDF out of an ERP or accounting system, or scanned as a paper invoice into PDF and then provided to the buying organization. And with this CloudScan module that we've created, the supplier is given a unique email address that they send the invoice to. And then what happens is that when CloudScan receives that email, it scans it, it OCRs it, and creates an electronic version of that particular invoice that can then be sent through to SAP or the ERP. However, there's a step within the process whereby we have a tool called the Business Firewall. And with the Business Firewall, what we do is configure all of your rules as a buying organization for what a valid invoice looks like. And that could be that we need a PO number or a person reference or some other tax identifier, whatever that information is that dictates what a valid invoice is for you and your organization. And so what happens after the PDF invoice has been emailed is that the supplier gets an email back saying, we have received the particular invoice that you sent, but what we need you to do now is to validate that particular invoice. And the validation step ensures that that invoice meets the business rules that you've created as a buying organization. And so the supplier gets this email, they hit the green validate button, and then at this point what they're presented with is this particular screen that you see here. And as you can see, it's a split screen that has the scanned image, the PDF if you will, in the top half of the screen, and in the bottom half of the screen what we're showing is the electronic version of that particular invoice. And so what happens now is that if any rules have been broken with respect to what a valid invoice is for the buying organization, then it will be flagged on the bottom screen and shown in red, and then the supplier can then select the appropriate box on the invoice and complete the info. Now, if the info they enter is tombstone information that is used on required on every invoice, like a tax ID or some information like that, then that particular information is stored so that if they don't change their template and the next invoice that comes through is missing that information again, because we've stored it, we'll just auto-populate that information. If it's something like a PO number that is unique to each invoice, then they would enter that at each step. But at this point, they validate that the invoice has all the information that is required by the buyer, and then they hit the validate button, and then the information flows through to Tradeshift. And so the view that you're looking at now is the e-invoice and vendor portal. So the view you're seeing is actually from the buyer's perspective. However, the supplier could log into the portal as well, and they would see the exact same view. And you'll notice if you look at the top right of the screen, there's a blue button and a green button. The green button says, do you accept this invoice? And if it's correct, the buying organization can accept it here. However, typically what we see is that high volume suppliers or buyers will probably not do work within this particular portal. and only the lower volume organizations would be going into the portal to look at the status of an invoice or to receive a PO or that sort of thing. But buyers would be creating their POs and receiving invoices typically within SAP. And so although I'm showing you the data in the buyer's view of our portal right now, in large enterprises, typically what happens is that this information would flow straight through once the invoice had been validated. And then at that point, it's up to the organization to take that data and put it through their workflow process. So what I'm going to do now is turn it back to Kevin. He can talk about how this data appears and looks within SAP. Kevin?
Thanks, Ed. So the solution I'm going to show you right now is our Verbella AP Ledger. You know, and I think one thing to keep in mind is, you know, some of you out there may already have a solution from other vendors as far as, you know, something like OpenText Vim or another similar solution. You know, we can work with that as well. But this, what I'm going to show you right now is the ledger is actually, for those of you on the technical side, is actually an ALV grid that's embedded in your SAP system. So the first screen here just shows a basic query screen. So what we're going to do is kind of walk you through the process of, you know, the invoice that Ed just showed you. You know, once you pull it up onto the ledger, here's the ledger overall view. So as you can see, all of the important data that you need to associate with your invoices that are now that we've taken the data and put it into SAP, and we've taken the image that was sent to us by Tradeshift and linked it to your content management system. You know, everything is now visible within the ledger. So, you know, this is totally configurable by you depending upon what, you know, as you look across these columns, these are all data that is inside of your SAP system. You know, the statuses, the third column there, the status can be configured to whatever your process desires, and also if we're going to do various types of SAP workflow within the system, if you want to handle, you know, a lot of people use SAP workflow to handle exceptions within PO-based invoices, or to be able to handle approvals or coding for non-PO invoices. So you know, if we take a look at the next screen, you know, here's the ability to click on a display image icon at the top of the ledger, and it will pull up from your content management system an image of the invoice, you know, which at that point can be emailed to someone else if you need to route it around, or it can be included as part of the workflow. Then the next screen just shows you the history of the process. So you know, you can see here it'd been scanned in, it's been indexed. Now a possible exception was found because once it was brought into the system, we found a possible duplicate. It was checked; it wasn't a duplicate. It was sent out for approval by K. Shaw when I was doing my AP work, and then approved and completed. So, you know, from a standpoint, it's an excellent tool to be able to manage the AP process, you know, within your SAP system. So I think that's kind of the overview. So just to give you an idea about what, you know, quick review of what we covered today. You know, just talking about our partnership and how the combined solutions really help you to automate, simplify the AP process. You know, and we each bring our unique values to it. You know, from the Verbella side, our expertise in ERP, especially within SAP, and the value from Tradeshift to bring you solutions to ensure that 100% of your suppliers are able to onboard, engage in e-invoicing, as well as other applications such as CloudScan. As you learn more about the Tradeshift platform, other things like dynamic discounting, supplier portals as well. At this point, I think what we would do is like to open it up to the Q&A. So any questions you might have, use the chat function there, and what it will do is it will give Ed the questions, and we'll try to handle them as they come in.
Sure, sure. Thanks, Kevin. So just as a wrap up then, I mean, one of the things I wanted to mention here is that, we specifically focused today's presentation on a pretty narrow band about the capabilities, regarding the capabilities that we jointly bring to the table. There's obviously a much bigger story to tell, and if anyone would like to have that kind of discussion with us, we can certainly do that. But we just wanted to show how we can simplify that and automate that AP process. So what I'll do now is start looking at some of the questions that we received. And so the first question I received asked if the presentation will be distributed afterwards. Yes, we will be distributing this to all attendees after the session. And once again, just as a reminder, if you have any questions at all, please put them into the chat box or the question box within the GoToWebinar control panel, and then we'll be able to see them. Kevin, moving on to the next one, and I guess I'll let you talk about this. We talked about SAP functionality specifically today, but do we also work with customers on Oracle or other ERP systems? And from Tradeshift's perspective, absolutely. We're somewhat ERP agnostic in that with the integration tools we can plug into any ERP. But Kevin, perhaps you could answer it from Verbella's perspective as well.
Yes, from a Verbella perspective, obviously the strength of our expertise is SAP, but we work with any back-end ERP system as well. So.
Okay. Next question. Isn't there overlap between some of the solutions you jointly offer, i.e. Tradeshift talked about CloudScan and Verbella talked about Kofax? And I can answer this one, Kevin, if you want, or you can?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, sure. Yeah, absolutely. There is some overlap in terms of the solutions that we offer clients. So what we do is go through a discovery process with the client, and we're working on a couple opportunities jointly now. And what we do is, depending upon the client's needs, we plug the appropriate solution into place. And that ensures that we can meet the business requirements, the functional requirements, and the financial requirements that a client might have for a solution. That's a good question. Thank you. Just going down the list. Next question. You focus primarily on AP automation and e-invoicing in this presentation. Where else do you see value in the partnership? Kevin, did you want me to take a stab at this, or do you want to pipe in first?
Well, I can jump in here. So from a Verbella standpoint, there is the capabilities that Tradeshift brings to the table with the CloudScan application, can transcend into other business processes as well. Any kind of document, heavily document-oriented process, whether it's accounts receivable, HR, incoming sales orders. The functionality there and the ability for us to integrate into your SAP system, we can bring value in that way. The AP Ledger, we're working on, adding it to the to Tradeshift's solution offering, which I think Ed can kind of maybe you can talk a little bit about some of the the varieties of solutions you have in the platform at this point.
Sure. So, looking at the AP Ledger specifically as an answer to that question, Kevin, one of the areas that we've started exploring, and we certainly need to have more discussion, is whether or not your AP Ledger solution could become an app on our platform. So, is there potential for that? And the answer is yes. We need to explore further to see how that could work. But Verbella as a shop that delivers solutions to clients, I think could become a development partner for us as well. So where we could take that in particular, not really sure today, but to answer your question, Kevin, about other options that we have in the way of solutions, as part of any solution set that we deliver, there's a whole onboarding process that we go through, and onboarding tools to help ensure that we get all of our suppliers on. So is there some way that Verbella could help us there? Who knows? I mean, we're really at the initial stages of our partnership, and we'll have to see where it could go. But I think the AP Ledger as an app on our platform is a good place for us to start. Great, Kevin. Question. Thank you. The next question is, can notes be put on the image before routing for approval? Kevin, I don't know if this pertains to AP Ledger, but do you want to answer it from that perspective?
Yes, and yes, the answer is yes. You can add you can add notes, and there's a variety of different ways that we can handle the routings as well.
Okay, great, thank you. Next question, is Verbella also taking care of building workflows for things like VAT codes, approvals, etc.?
Yes, our consultants, from an SAP standpoint, we have ABAP consultants, we have workflow consultants, but yes, we can build either. There's a variety of different ways that we can build a workflow, either usually using native SAP workflow, but also we can utilize your email system to be able to hook into SAP Connect and send approval emails via email to people that are not day-to-day SAP users. Very often in an SAP environment, you have your heads down users that live in SAP, that memorized every transaction code they ever need to use, but often, when you come to an invoice approval process, if you get into other areas of the company where people are unfamiliar with SAP, there's often pushback on using pure SAP workflow. So by utilizing the email system, we can send out emails, actually have the approval information or coding information, things like company code, put onto the email, and then once the email is sent back into the system, it can automatically be ingested and the invoice posted if all the information is correct.
Great, thanks, Kevin. The next question is about CloudScan. Can I use CloudScan if my suppliers still send me paper invoices initially? That's a great question. The answer is yes, you can. So while you go through the process, and we work through this with you, of onboarding your supply base to the platform so that they eventually migrate to CloudScan or use another channel if that's more appropriate for them, you can internally scan those paper invoices and then email them to CloudScan yourself. What that does from a process perspective is put the validation step on the buying organization, if you will, but it eliminates the data entry and the eliminates the data entry step that you would otherwise have to go through. And we're typically seeing there's a lot of interest in that, especially with some high volume supplier buying organizations that we have that receive a lot of invoices, and they know that it's going to take time to migrate people away from paper. So while you're going through that process, however, there's an ongoing campaign to onboard suppliers to one of the various channels, whether it be a Kofax channel or something else, so that we can get away from the paper at the end of the day. And it does take time, but that's the process that we typically work through. Next question. If we have an existing custom workflow that is triggered by parking the document in SAP, can AP Ledger work with this? Kevin?
Yes, it can. Actually, there is a, we have the functionality within, part of the functionality within the ledger is to be able to park documents, but also to work with them. So because of the fact that the ledger is embedded into your SAP system, it's just a It's a fairly simple configuration.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. The last question that I have, unless another one comes in, does a supplier have to be onboarded on the Tradeshift platform in order to send invoices via CloudScan? And the answer is no, not at all. In fact, we designed it as a tool to facilitate getting e-invoicing working quickly for our customers while we work through the process of onboarding and getting suppliers engaged with the network. And that's it. Those are all the questions we have at this point in time. Why don't we wait a couple minutes, Kevin, to see if other questions come in. Otherwise, we'll wrap the session up, and then later today we'll send everyone a PDF copy of this presentation as well. Actually, while we wait, Kevin, did you have any final comments that you wanted to make?
No, I just, thanks. Actually, I was very happy because especially some of the questions that are coming up, it's good to see that, there's people out there that understand, part of the value that we're trying to deliver here. So.
Great. Thanks, Kevin. So I don't see any more questions in the queue. What I'm going to do then is shut the session down. First off, I'd like to thank everyone for giving us your valuable time today. We hope that there was some value here for you. We'll be following up with everyone, certainly with the PowerPoint, but also to see if you have any other questions for us. And, through the website links that you're seeing on the screen right now, you can certainly get in touch with us as well. Thanks so much for your time, everyone, and have a good day. Bye now.